Hey Facebook, happy Tuesday morning to you guys. I am getting ready to record another podcast this morning, and I had so much good feedback from you guys from last week when I recorded the podcast, and you asked me to do it again, and so I'm like, okay, I'll do it again, and we'll see if they enjoy it today as well. So I am going to be chatting today about burnout, and I'm getting ready here as we're talking. Burnout with creative people, okay? Because I coach enough creative women every month. I'm at over 200 women a month that I get to talk to about their businesses, and women always come to me with burnout issues, and they're bored. They can't figure out why the very thing that they used to love in their business, now they're like, I gotta paint something again. They're tired of talking about the same stuff over and over, and then they feel really guilty about it because most of them have, quit a real job, or they've convinced a spouse that they need to do something different, or they just feel a heavy responsibility to make this thing work. And so when they get burned out in their creative abilities or their business, then they feel all weirdish because they're like, I should feel so grateful for this job. I get to make stuff all day. I mean, who gets to make crap all day? How fun is that for a living? But there's really, really easy fixes for burnout, and burnout is actually a really positive thing if you'll just look at it in the right way. And so my podcast today is on the 8 reasons that you get burned out in your business, and then how to turn those reasons around into a positive thing in your business. And so if you guys will give me grace here for 30 seconds, and I did this the last time when I had you guys on here, where I did a little test and we make sure that the audio works. And so let's just see here. I'm testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so give me a second, my friends, and then I'll get to recording, okay? And we'll make sure that everything's working. How is everybody this morning? Oh, Anna, you know what? Burnout leads to frustration. That's a really great point. Burnout totally leads to frustration, and then a lot of frustrated people just they give up. They give up. I mean, it's too much stinking work to do this when we're frustrated. Am I right? Okay, I'm playing back the audio here, friends. Hang on. Oh, I can't hear it. But the audio works, and so let's just see here. I'm testing. Okay, it's not quite loud enough, so hang tight. Hang on. I could have done this all beforehand, but I had several people who emailed me and were like, that was so fun to see what goes into behind the scenes of a podcast, so I didn't want to do it before you guys came on, because I want you to get to see this. Okay, so hold up. Wait a minute. I just turned that up a little bit. And for those of you who asked, I record in Zoom. And come on now, I'm a smart girl. I've got this. Carrie Rabena, are you on here with me? Carrie's my girl who helps me get everything figured out on my podcast, because I just started recording myself. So hang on. And then we're going to go with the top 8 reasons you get burned out and how to fix it. How to fix it. How to fix it's the important part. Recognizing the reason is good. Fixing it is best, okay? And so just know, friends, that while I'm recording here, I'm going to be having to look straight ahead. I know that you guys are a little wackadoodle. You're a little cockeyed. You're a little off to the side, and I can't figure out how to fix it on my tripod, because we're recording my face for the Woodage Network on my PC, and so then I'm recording here on Facebook Live, and isn't technology a fantastic thing? And so we are going to get started. So I won't be able to look at you, and I'm going to feel really bad that I can't look at you, okay? But talk amongst yourselves. Talk amongst yourselves. Build some relationship here. All right, I'm getting ready to start. All right, you know I always pray first. Father God, I just pray in the name of Jesus that you would calm any nerves that I would have, Father, that my words would be like a salve to someone's soul, Lord, to some woman who is so burned out in her business, Father. I pray that she would hear this podcast, Lord, and it would give her the tools that she needs to keep going, Father. I pray that you would bless my words, and I do this in your name. Amen. All right, we are recording. Hey everyone, it's Jennifer. Welcome back to the Jennifer Allwood Show. I am so super excited that you're here with me today. We're going to talk about a topic that a lot of people kind of shy away from. They don't really want to talk about it so much because it's the topic of burnout, and it's the topic of why sometimes in our creative businesses do we feel like just throwing in the towel. Why sometimes do we feel like, if I have to talk about paint for one more second, like I'm just gonna, punch someone. Can I say it? And there's reasons that burnout happens in our businesses. And when we can recognize those reasons, then we can rectify the problem. All right. And so that's key. Recognizing why you're burned out and then fixing it. Because the majority of the time, burnout is fixable. Burnout is usually not a sign that you're done. You need to go back to an air quote real job. Burnout is not a sign that you picked the wrong career or anything else. Burnout is a sign of some other things that, if you'll do some self-examination, will actually catapult your business to the next level if you'll just look at those things and change your eyesight and change the way you're looking at it. Instead of thinking, oh my gosh, I'm so burned out, I hate this, I don't want to do it anymore. Instead, if you look at that thing and say, okay, I'm burned out, I'm going to figure out why, I'm going to fix it, and then you have this like new passion for your career, which is an amazing feeling when it happens. It's an amazing feeling when you feel like you've been given those little heart things, that they use on Chicago Fire when they like put them on your heart and then you like come up off the table. You guys know what I'm talking about. And so we're going to talk about burnout. You ready? The interesting thing about burnout is that I work with creative entrepreneurs all month long. I have over 200 women that I'm coaching, and then I do a lot of private coaching as well. And I have found a common thread that women in particular, when they're doing a creative business and all of a sudden they feel burned out, they feel incredibly guilty. The majority of the time, I think they're feeling guilty because they either left a real job, and I say that with air quotes, or they maybe went out on a limb financially, or maybe their spouse wasn't 100% behind their business idea, but their business has been doing well. They've been selling like crazy on Etsy. They've got a website where they're selling the things they make, so they're doing well. And so then when they start getting burned out, they're like, crap. Now what? Now what? Now I feel bad. I can't tell the people that I've convinced that this was going to be a success that I'm burned out. And so they kind of don't want to talk about it. And then when we don't talk about it, then it has a tendency to just perpetuate and just get bigger and snowball. And so we're going to talk about the 8 reasons that you get burned out. And what I'd like for you to do, if you're listening and you have the option to grab a pen and a paper, is I would love for you just to write down these 8 reasons. And then I want you to send me an email when we're done at podcast@themagicbrushinc.com and tell me which of these reasons were the one that you feel burned out, because that will help me going forward in knowing how to coach you ladies even better. And so the number one reason creative people get burned out in their business is because they're bored. I know that sounds so simple, but this is the truth, okay? As a creative person, God did not intend you to do the same thing day in, day out for the next 10, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Like, that isn't even remotely a part of who you are. That's why most creative people like to travel, because we got to see new things. That's why a lot of times creative people will switch houses frequently. This is why my husband and I are looking at putting our house on the market really soon, because you need fresh, new, interesting things, challenges, projects, whatever. So let's say you're a sign maker, for instance, okay? And you've been making the same sign over and over for the last 2 years, and you're selling hundreds of these signs a month, and your business, like Jenny Ingram's, who I did a podcast on last week, is doing amazing. All right. There gets to a point sometimes, though, when you're like, if somebody asked me to make one more sign, like, you just want to gag. And the reason you want to gag, my friends, is because you're bored. All right. So you got to figure out a new way of doing an old thing. So either, add some glitter to that sign, do a different color, figure out a different way to stencil it, maybe change the font. But doing the same thing over and over and over is not how God wired a creative person. You need change, my friend. You're bored. And think about, like, even kids when they get bored, and think about how their behavior is, and sometimes we have the same exact behavior as adults. It just looks a little different. So I know when Ava's bored, it's There's nothing to do. There's so much drama. There's just nothing to do. This is so boring. And that's how we feel as grown-ups in our business when we're doing the same thing over and over. And we may not be quite as dramatic about it, but our insides are screaming for change. So if you're bored, baby, you better mix it up. You better figure out some way to mix it up to get yourself out of that bored position. It will help you so much, okay? Number 2 reason that you're burned out is because you're bitter. Ooh, that's a good one. The reason creative people are often bitter is because they're not charging enough for their creative talents. And it ends up making us feel like the very gifts that God gave us to, give to the world are really devalued. You feel like you're just doing something for nothing. And the way to fix this, if you're feeling bitter, and the bitter is leading to burnout, is to raise your prices, my friends. Seriously, there are, so many people who are nervous about raising their prices. Look, you don't have to raise the price of your, let's say, furniture pieces. You don't have to double them overnight, but you can sneak them up. And you'll know when it's time to raise your prices because you get that thing in your gut. Your gut is one of your best tools as a creative person and as a business owner. Your gut will tell you exactly when it's time to raise your prices because you'll sell something, you'll watch that piece walk away and you're going to be like, I am so stinking irritated about that. Put in 57 hours, basically could have made more at McDonald's this month if I would have worked there. I mean, how many of you can relate to what I'm talking about? Some of you just need to raise your rates and it will help make all of your effort feel worth it. The Bible says that God gives us wisdom to gain wealth. He does not expect you to be doing your creative stuff for free or even close to it. And there's so many people who feel so guilty about charging and charging well. And you don't have to look at everybody else in your industry. You don't have to know what they're all doing and price like they are. They may be marketing more to, let's say, a Walmart client, and you want to go for the Target people. And there is nothing wrong with that. So raise your rates. That way, when that piece of furniture is walking away from you after you've had a sale, you're not sitting there going, could have made more at McDonald's. Instead, you're going, okay, that piece was a lot of work, but I got paid well for my talent. And then you don't feel so burned out because you're actually being compensated really well. Does that make sense? When there's things in your business that you're like, oh, I hate it when somebody asks me to XYZ. So maybe I hate it when people ask me to strip a piece of furniture and redo it. Or I hate it when somebody asks me to, I'm trying to think of something else. Paint walls. I just want to paint cabinets. Maybe that. Price those things higher so that at least if somebody asks you to do that you get paid really well for it because that will help with the bitterness. And once you've alleviated bitterness, then you won't feel so burned out. I hope that was helpful. Number 3 reason creative people get so burned out in their business. You're doing too much stuff in your own business. You need to back out of some of the things you're doing. You are not outsourcing enough. It's funny when you're putting your hand in every single piece of your business and you're the one doing all of the making, all of the shipping, all of the social media, all of the marketing, all of the extra classes and courses and continuing education that you better be taking. I mean, you better, whether it's from me or somebody else, because I take my own continuing education. I'm in 3 courses right now. So whenever you're trying to do all of those things, there just aren't enough hours in the day. There aren't enough hours in the day. And when all you do is work, and it just feels like drudgery. It just feels like, okay, I'm getting up today, and let me tell you something about me getting up every day right now, my friends. I can say this with 100% confidence and assurity. I love Monday mornings. I know so many people are like, Monday. I stinking love Monday mornings because I try really hard to take off on Saturdays. And I do a lot of blogging and prep work on Sundays, but I take off every Saturday. And by the time Monday morning rolls around, I can't wait to get back to my business. I love it that much. And my prayer for all of you is that you would feel the same exact way about your business, that you love it so much that you can't wait to get back to it on Monday mornings. But part of that key is backing yourself out of the things in your business that you honestly are not needed for. You really don't need to be the one who's at the post office shipping out the jewelry you just made. That's not the best use of your time, my friend. That your business can survive with Sally Sue or Jimmy Joe or somebody else doing that sort of work for you. And it's not a place of arrogance. It's a place of realizing, okay, Oprah's got people. Okay? She got people. Joanna Gaines, she got people. They are doing this themselves. I got a lot of people. There's no way I could have grown my business to this size, with all of the different things I'm doing without a whole team of people. This doesn't mean you need to hire on full time. What you can do is you can start outsourcing some things to the college girl up the street who's home for the summer and she just wants to make $12 an hour. And you don't need to be the one to run to Sherwin-Williams anymore to grab the paint. You don't need to be the one that's taking stuff to the post office. She's probably amazing at things like taking pictures on her iPhone that you could put on your blog so you don't have to do it. You don't need to be the one sitting down at PicMonkey and putting the watermarks on your photos for your website anymore. That is not the best use of your time, my friends. You got to look at your business and think, what things in my business do I have to do? And I can assure you with 100% certainty, the only things that I do in my business currently are the things that I have to do in order for my business to keep running. Everything else I outsource. And I know what you're going to say. I can't afford to outsource. Yes, you can. This is a poverty mindset that you just need to get over. I want you to change your words, first of all, from I can't afford to outsource to I can't afford not to outsource. It's the same thing as like tithing. You can't afford not to tithe. Seriously. And so when I'm looking at outsourcing, this is what I tell people. If you outsource correctly, let's just talk about even just hiring somebody to come clean your home, okay? This is a great example because I have someone cleans my home twice a month. She's here for about 6 hours. I watch her and she's like the Edward Scissorhands of home cleaning, okay? I mean, this woman is a tornado and she's 20 years older than I am, by the way. So she's, whisking through my house and at warp speed, and it takes her 6 hours to clean my home. So that says to me that if I was the one to be cleaning my house, it'd take me, let's say 10 if I'm being generous, but at least 12 hours of cleaning time, okay? Because I'm going to get distracted because I'm a creative person and you guys all know what I'm talking about because you're creative as well. And so what takes her 6 hours is going to take me 10 to 12. In the time that I pay her for 6 hours of cleaning, $125 every 2 weeks, instead, if I worked my butt off for those 6 to 10 hours, I should be able to do enough in my business to generate more than that. Does that make sense? When you think about just, the cost of an hour coaching call with me, I generate 3 times as much. And so the key is you have to be able to free up some time in your schedule to only do the things that you have to do to grow your business. And the other things you have to hand off to somebody else. This is how you end up building a team who is going to take you to the next level in your business. Is it scary? Yes. But is it worth it? Yes. The day that I hired Vicky, my personal assistant, administrative assistant, to take care of my emails, I'm like, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. I don't have to even open my email ever again. Okay. And so some of you are going to find freedom in outsourcing, but you've been stuck because you're thinking, well, what are other people going to think if I start hiring people? Who cares? Who cares? At the end of the day, you only owe an explanation to your family and your creator, and that's it. At the end of the day. And so if you know that you're supposed to be hiring somebody to do some things in your business, you'll have that same feeling in the pit of your stomach. And so I'm going to double dog dare some of you to just walk that out in the next couple weeks. And here's what this looks like. So this is what I tell the women in my coaching group. Seriously, just go to your business Facebook page and just do a little post. Hey, now hiring. I need somebody to help me answer emails, watermark photos, send out newsletters for me, all the other fun tech stuff. If this sounds like something you're interested in, send me an email to yada, yada, yada. It doesn't have to be somebody in your town. You guys, it doesn't even have to be somebody in your country anymore. Outsourcing is amazing. And so, and if you need some help, with outsourcing stuff, send us an email to podcast@themagicbrushinc.com. And if there's something in particular you're looking for, I can maybe steer you in the right direction. But the reason number 3, you're burnt out in your business because you're doing too much of it. You got to back out of your business a little bit because some of you, the only way you make money right now is if you are actually physically humping, if you're physically slinging paint, if you're physically, having a class, if you're physically cutting your own wood for signs. That's the only way you're making money. And you've got to put things in place in your business so that that's not the case. What if you end up, breaking a foot. Let's pray to God that that doesn't happen. Or, one of your family members gets sick and you're needed. What happens if you want to take a couple weeks off? You've got to have some things in place in your business so you're actually making money when you are not physically working. And having outsourced some things and having a team will help with that. All right, number 4, reason you're burned out. I love this one. You haven't created anything for yourself in a long, 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 long time. I would, if I was a betting girl, if we were in Vegas right now, I would bet that so many of you creative people fall into this category. The reason you're burned out is because you've done nothing for yourself. All you're doing is giving, giving, giving. Every time you make another piece of jewelry, you paint another piece of furniture, you write another song, you write another book. Anytime as a creative person, you're giving, it's all going out, okay? It's all going out. You're putting all the stuff, all the things, all the love into whatever you're putting out into the world. Your artwork, your pottery, your painting stuff, your creativity, you're pushing it out and you're giving, 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 giving. And while that is a phenomenal thing, you've got to remember, you got to replenish yourself, especially for you introverted creative people. And a lot of you are introverts, just like me. And so this is what this looks like. There are times when I start getting antsy in my business and I start feeling like, I don't know, like not unfulfilled, but just kind of like, antsy is the best way to say it. Just unsettled. That's a good word. Unsettled. And about my business. I also have that same feeling when I'm not doing quiet time with the Lord in the morning, and then I'll be like, oh, I'm such a ding-a-ling. It's because I haven't had quiet time in 3 days. But in my business, sometimes when I get that unsettled, antsy feeling, it's because I've been working in clients' houses. I've been working, for TV things. I've been blogging, which is not really a creative thing for me. It's more of a creative thing for my readers. And so I've been doing all this stuff for others, and I'm giving and I'm giving and I'm giving. And all of a sudden I'm like, when's the last time I painted anything in my own house? That's what I love. That's what I would do. Even if nobody else in the whole wide world knew about it, I'd be slinging paint on my old walls. I'd be slinging paint on, painting these doors, which Stephanie do a great job on the doors behind me, by the way. I would be, painting a piece of furniture. I would be doing things in my house to make it beautiful. And so when I'm feeling burned out as heck, often I'll have to go, okay, wait a minute. Have you done anything for yourself lately? In terms of using my own creative talents for myself. Not for something to sell. Not for something necessarily to blog about. Not for something other than I need to see pretty crap all around me. And some of you guys are the same way. And I can remember years ago, I was complaining to the Lord, okay, seriously, you either need to give me more money or take away my champagne taste, because I'm on a Budweiser budget and I have this incredible need to be surrounded by things that are beautiful. And it's so funny because over time, God's really shown me, because I have champagne taste on a Budweiser budget, that has, it's forced me to get creative in making things beautiful for not a lot of money, which actually is such a blessing in my business because then I can teach you guys the same thing. And so it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to do something that's super expensive, but you do have to do something that feeds your soul. Creative people, you got to take better care of yourself. I love you enough to tell you this, that so many of you are burned out just because you're working your booties off. You're feeling like you're not making any money and you haven't done anything for yourself in a really long time. So stop this weekend. Just stop. Just absolutely stop the chaos. Give yourself a couple hours to go take a stinking walk. Go get yourself some Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donut and sit down and paint something, write something, make something, create something from scratch that maybe you'll never do anything with it. Maybe it'll just stink and you'll throw it away. But who cares? At least you will have fed your own needs, like your genuine God-given needs to create something for yourself. That was number 4, my friends. Number 5, if you're burned out, it's because you need to go someplace. And it doesn't need to be like, Italy or Hawaii, while that would be really grand. I know that last year about this time, oh baby, I was burned out. I mean, we were on a 5-month long project that I did not post a lot about on social media because I have a client who I love dearly, like a family member. And just as a way of honoring their need for privacy, we didn't talk about it a lot on social media, but for 5 months, I had 8 to 10 women there every single day, and it was amazing. But about a month in, I was like this. Oh, Nellie. Woo, Nellie. Mama needs some downtime. And my husband one day, it was on a Thursday night, he said, pack a bag, we're leaving tomorrow. And I'm like, what? What are we doing? And told the kids, pack a bag, we're leaving tomorrow. And I'm like, where are we going? And literally, we just went to Des Moines. Or Des Moines, for those of you people who are in Iowa and say it just that way for, I don't know. Why does my whole family say that? Des Moines. It's Des Moines. So Des Moines is literally 2.5, 3 hours up the road from us in Kansas City. And Mr. Magic had got us a hotel room for 2 nights, and we literally just took the kids and went to the river market in the morning. We ate at places that were different. We went to a pizza place where they have, I'm trying to think of the name of this, and I'm sorry I've got a frog in my throat here, friends. My apologies. But we went to, I think it's called Hong's Pizza, where they have crab rangoon pizza. Okay, the weirdest food ever. But even experiencing weird food as a creative person will stimulate creativity in you, okay? So it's not about spending all the money and taking a cruise and seeing all the sunsets. It's about getting out of your normal surroundings and taking your booty elsewhere so that you're away from your own business for just a day or two so that you see something other than what you see all stinking day long, so that you get re-inspired. And then when you come back to your business, it's funny how you just have new ideas. I know that for me, going out of town on a vacation will do the same thing that I used to feel like when I went to like a painting school, and I'd come back with like 10 beautiful sample boards, and I would be like so stoked. Like, look what I just made. Okay, well, when I travel, I come home and feel the same exact way. The same exact way, like just ready to make. Just can't wait, just all in love with my business again. And again, the traveling doesn't have to be to someplace exotic, although if you're going, I mean, hey, give me a holler and I'll go with you. But you do need to just get out of your own surroundings and see something different. For the day, drive to the lake. Drive to the lake, take your journal, sit on the beach and plan out some stuff for your business. I know that, and my coaching girls all know this, and it's so funny. But every time I have to plan something big, hard, and scary in my business, and we call this BHS. If you're in my inner circle, if you're one of my hashtag circle sisters, you know this. So anytime I have to do something big, hard, and scary in my business, which right now I've got a new course launching in June for anybody who wants a creative business or has just started a creative business and they need to know the exact steps to get to where they're going. So I've got that launching in June. It's big, hard, and scary. It's the biggest thing I've done so far in my business. And so I go plan things at the library, and they all know it. They all know it in my coaching group. I go to the library because of this. First of all, my cell phone doesn't work for diddly squat inside the library. Bad reception. I think they do it on purpose. Second of all, it's quiet. It's quiet. If I go to Starbucks and try to work, I don't know how y'all do that. I sit at Starbucks and I'm like, oh, hey, I know her. Oh, I love that girl's pants. What'd she order? Maybe I need to order that. Like, I'm a total people watcher and don't get anything done. I go to the library, I put my head down, and I get some work done. And so that's a tip for some of you. Go to the library. That is an untapped resource in your community. And it's amazing how much business work you can get done in your library. So that was point number 5. The reason you get burned out is because you need to go someplace. Go someplace. Number 6. The reason sometimes you get burned out is because you're not around enough like-minded people. And what ends up happening is you feel like that Dolly Parton song, Islands in the Stream. You feel like you're all alone. You're just floating out there kind of in nowhere's land without a community to belong to. And I know that I was recently talking to somebody who calls it being a solopreneur. And I think that's Coach Glitter's term. Maybe she didn't term it, but we'll give her credit anyway. Tiffany, I love you. And so when you get around like-minded people, it's amazing how that burnt out subsides. And here's the reason. I'm sure most of you have heard this quote before. You are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So think real quickly about the 5 people in your world that you spend the most time with, the 5 people in your business you spend the most time with. Probably most of them they're not business owners. They don't have a creative career, and therefore, friends, they just can't get it. You know, there's no way that I can get what losing a parent feels like, because I haven't lost a parent yet, you know. And so does that make sense? Like, I've had friends that have had, and I try to be really compassionate, but at the end of the day, I wish that I could say I know how you feel and give concrete, like, loving, practical advice and tips, but I can't. I mean, I can try to support them as much as possible, and I can try to love on them as much as possible, but until I've walked that path, you just don't really get it. Almost like, you know, you thought you were going to be such a great parent until you had kids. Right? Am I right? And so everybody's a perfect parent before they have children. Well, it's the same thing with being a business owner. If we're the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with, do any of the 5 people you spend the most time with have anything to do with business? Probably not. Probably not. And so you have to get around a group of like-minded people. Now listen, they do not have to be in your industry. This is where so many creative people mess up, okay? So I love you enough to tell you the truth here. You don't have to be in all these online groups for people who are in the same industry as you. Unless those people are miles ahead of you and that's where you want to be headed, then that's great. But otherwise, you need to get in some groups of people who have already accomplished what you're hoping to. Because if you're going to be the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, spend time in those groups, soaking everything in. Be a sponge. Figure out what the business people are doing and how business people are winning, and apply it to your business. I'm going to go one step further with this. When I talk about getting around like-minded people, some of you are in business groups because you feel guilted into staying in them. You feel like you're going to be shamed if you get out of those business groups because that's your industry and you're expected to be there. Okay, nonsense. Nonsense. Some of you are staying in online groups because you feel like you need to, and yet every time there is a post in there, you get a stomachache. Am I speaking the truth here? Am I speaking the truth here? Get out of those groups. Who cares? You've got your own lane and your own thing to be running here. And I am so hyper focused on where I'm going in my business and who I share my thoughts with. One of you sweet precious people said the other day on my Facebook page, and I got to tell you that I screenshotted it. If it was you, oh my gosh, I just want to hug your face. But you said, quit sharing your $1 million idea with $100 thinking people. Was that how you said it? I just got to screenshot it. I'm like, that's freaking brilliant. It's brilliant. And so some of those groups are draining the life out of you, and you're feeling like you need to stay. No, you don't. You can in a precious, loving way back on out of those groups. Nobody even is going to miss you for a while. Let's just be honest. Okay? Or just click off the notifications and just go to the group when you want to check on things. But you're in those groups all day and you're commenting and you're trying to support other people and you're missing hours daily that you could be spending on your business. Of the 205 women that I'm coaching right now in my inner circle, I have told them, don't be in here all day. If you're responding to everything in here, if you are, immediately seeing every post, you're spending too much time in my group. It's my group. I mean, I want them in there, but I want them working on their own business more. Yes, there's a spot for community and you got to be around like-minded people, but don't let that community drain you. Get in a community where you feel like, oh my gosh, these are my people. These are my people. These are my people. If you need a group like that, you all already know I have my inner circle you can find on my website, and we've got a great group of creative people in there who are so like-minded. They're so supportive of one another. I'm so proud of them. They named themselves the Circle Sisters, the hashtag Circle Sisters, and they're absolutely amazing. And so just remember, this is what I tell my kids when they're listening to music and when they're asking me about going to movies and anything else, okay? So we are a reflection of everything we're taking in. This is what I tell my kids. Crap in, crap out. Crap in, crap out. So you've got to be really mindful of the stuff that you're subscribed to in your inbox, of the stuff that you are getting on your Facebook feed every day. If it's, businesses posting things that are really opposite of what some of your convictions are, quit following them. I've quit a whole bunch of pages lately because, they're great pages with 1 million followers and 500,000 followers and 2 million followers. But every time I would read one of their posts, I'd be like, I so disagree with that. Unfollow that stuff. It will help make space in your mind mentally for you to find like-minded people. Okay? We got 2 left. Number 7, reason you're burned out is because you've left 0 margin in your life. Friends, this is something that I struggle with, and I have to remind myself when I look at my schedule sometimes, and I'm like, Lord, have mercy. Lordy, have mercy. I've got a podcast and 3 coaching calls today. Oh, actually, I only have 2 coaching calls today. And, I have bump. When we have 0 margin in our life, we have very little time left for creativity. And we also have very little time left to be obedient to the things that God may prompt us to do during the day because they're not on the schedule. Does that make sense? And so I have got to personally work on leaving myself more margin, and a lot of you creative people do as well. There's a great book by Lisa TerKeurst, The Best Yes, which talks a lot about, leaving ourselves time, freeing up time in our life to do the things that we need to do. And the last reason that people get burned out, this is my favorite, I think. This is my favorite, is that sometimes we're burned out because it's the only way that God can get us to make a change in our business. It's the only way he can get us to make a change. Because if you never got burned out, if you just love what you're doing, you'd still be doing exactly what you were doing 10 years ago. It's the fact that you got a little bit burned out in the middle that you did a slight shift. It doesn't have to be a major shift. I remember this one time our pastor preached on how if there's a rocket in space and they change the coordinates just by like this a smidgen, just a smidgen, how the rocket can end up, instead of going where it was the original trajectory, it ends up in a completely different state or country with just the slightest shift. And so sometimes I think God uses burnout to slightly shift us, because then we get more in line with where we're supposed to be going. Then we get more in line with our destiny for our business. Then we get more in line to what we were really supposed to be doing in the first place. For some of you, your craft is just your catalyst. I talked about that the other day on a podcast and said somebody needs to tweet that. Your craft is just a catalyst. The very thing that I started my business on 17 years ago of painting in people's homes, it was never about the paint. It was always about this. It was always about being able to encourage other women. That's what I'm actually meant to do for a job, for a living. Does that make sense? And so if you're burned out, sometimes it's just the bat signal. It's just the bat signal. You need change. You got to slightly shift. You got to let God give you some ideas to just shift slightly, and that burnout will subside. And so there you go, my friends. I'll just recap with the 8 reasons you get burned out. Number 1, you're bored. Number 2, you're bitter. You better. Number 3, you're doing too much stuff in your own business and need to outsource. Number 4, you haven't done anything for yourself lately. Number 5, you need to go somewhere. Number 6, you need to get around like-minded people. Number 7, you haven't left enough margin in your life. You're working yourself thin. And number 8, God's trying to shift you just slightly. So those are the 8 reasons that I see over and over again that creative business owners get burned out, but they're all fixable. The amazing thing is that they're all fixable. So again, I would love it if you just dropped me an email to podcast@themagicbrushinc.com and just told me which of those really spoke to you. And that even helps me to know what to do about future podcasts. And so we're going to stop here today, my friends. And I just want to tell you how honored I am that you sit and you listen to my podcast every day. I appreciate you so much. I hope that if this podcast today is maybe something that you think a friend or maybe your sister-in-law or your neighbor would enjoy listening to, that you would share it with her. And if you get a chance and you're on iTunes, if you would leave your ratings and leave a comment for me, I would appreciate that as well. So until next time, you guys have a good day. Thanks. Dun, dun, dun. Hey guys! That's so much fun. I hate it that I can't see you though. I hate it that I don't get to see you on Facebook Live while I'm recording that. But, oh, and those things were hurting my ears. But, oh, Robin, I'm so glad. glad. You know, that's the whole reason, Robin, I did another one today. Like I filmed this while you guys were all here. Here, hang on, let me in this meeting. Because I got so much great feedback from the podcast I did the other day. And so if you love podcasts, which my friends, I love podcasts. Like I love podcasts. Go find mine over, you can find it on my website at themagicbrushing.com/podcast. Or just go to the podcast app on your iPhone and look for the Jennifer Allwood Show. And I listen to podcasts all the time. If you want to know my top 3, I just put this in another group yesterday because we were asked for our top 3. I listen to Stephen Furtick, Dale Partridge, and Storybrand, Don Miller, every week. And those are my favorites. So Irma says she needs to learn how to delegate. What if they discover you're not that great? Irma, let me tell you one of the best things I ever did in my business. Okay? Honestly, it's just embrace the fact that I'm really not that good. I'm really not that good. I had some people critique me one time that I am not that talented. And I'm like, you know, you are exactly right. I am not that talented. And it takes all this pressure off of ourselves. I am not that talented. But I'm good at a whole lot of things. And God's going to use the things that I am good at to get me exactly where I need to be going. And so I bet you have awesome mom advice for my kids, Aaron. Oh, gosh, I don't know. Teenagers. I love them. I love them dearly. The teen years are actually a whole lot of fun. Kayla, thank you. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. It is my burning heart's desire to encourage creative women to step into their destiny, both with their life and their business. Hi, Kari Caldwell. Oh, bless you, honey. You know I'm your #1 fan. So anyway, I do have coaching calls coming up here in the next few minutes. I saw that somebody asked about the inner circle. Oh, look at this. I forgot to eat half my breakfast while I was sitting here. I always protein up before these. But they asked about, is it just for painters? Oh gosh, no, it's not just for painters. Can I tell you something about some of, how can I word this? I'm trying to be precious in my wording. It's funny because the majority of the time I candy coat everything because I don't want my delivery to be abrasive. I'm married to someone whose delivery is abrasive. God bless Mr. Magic. And so I tend to candy coat everything. And so let me just phrase this in a way that hopefully you'll hear my heart, okay? So you ladies, because most of my coaching group is female, you are more than just your wreath making. You are more than just your painting furniture. You are more than just your jewelry making. We have cookie makers in there. We have, there's tons of different creative people in there in different creative industries. And the reason is because it doesn't matter if you're making clothing for a living, or you're making poetry for a living, or you're making pottery or paint or stuffing pillowcases or whatever. If you're doing any sort of a creative career, it's all the same. The head game is all the same. It don't matter. It don't matter. And so the best thing you can do is get around people who don't exactly do exactly what you do. Yes, Genoa, that's why we click. That's why the group's so good. Because somebody asks a question about photography, and we have somebody that is I'm going to prophesy this over her right now. She's about to be known nationally for her cookies. I know that. I know that. Sweet and Saucy Life, if you're on here, you're about to get recognized nationally for your cookie baking. That's for you, girl. I don't even think she's on here. But so we have somebody ask a photography question. Yes, we have photographers in there, but then we'll also have somebody like Sweet and Saucy, who is a baker, who responds. And it's the same. It doesn't matter what creative industry you are. All of us creative people are weird. We're sensitive. We're makers. We're passionate. We're misunderstood. There's a thing this big. Doesn't matter if we're putting our pictures out for the world to see, or we're putting our painted furniture out for the world to see, or our jewelry. We all feel very vulnerable. All feel very vulnerable. And so it's my heart for every one of you creative people to just let you know, I feel just as vulnerable. I feel just as vulnerable. For some reason, I just feel like shouting it from the rooftops so that you guys feel validated. Because some of you still feel like there's no place you belong. It's because you haven't found the right spot yet. Don't keep looking. Perhaps it's my inner circle group. Perhaps it's something else. But continue to look for a group of people where you feel understood, where you feel like people get you. There is nothing worse than feeling misunderstood. And it wears on the soul. Gosh, makes me want to cuss. I don't cuss. All right. Bless you guys. You're amazing. Barbara says she hasn't left enough margin in her life. I know. It's so hard. You know what, Barbara? But I have learned that there's always stuff to do. For any of you who think, gosh, I'm going to get to this place in my business. I'm going to finally be making 6 figures, or finally be making 7 figures, which is, my big goal, my big, hard, scary goal. And you think, I'm going to get to this point where it's just going to be easy street, baby. Like laid back. Kari Caldwell, you're a rapper. What song is that? Got my mind on my money. It's Snoop Dogg. That's who it is. Yeah, Kari's right there commenting. You think you're going to be laid back in your business. You're not. Because for most of you, if you are truly an entrepreneur, like truly a business person, and you are truly meant to be an entrepreneur, even if you got everything going just the way it should, you're not content with that, because you're a creative person too, and you need change, and you need the next thing. And a true entrepreneur is never going to get everything in laid back style and then just coast. They're always going to know that there's the next thing that they need to do in their business, and the next thing. They're also going to have a lot of drive that pushes them, because ain't nobody standing behind you when you're a business owner poking at you. Go. The other day, please don't call PETA on this, all right? Come on now. The other day, Ava's hamster got stuck, okay? The hamster's gotten a little fluffy around the middle. I can relate, hamster. So we've got a hamster. We've kept it alive now for a month. Thank you, Jesus. And the hamster gets stuck in this little tube in Ava's thing. And he's like this in the tube. And I'm like, oh, Lord, have mercy. What do we do? And Ava is trying to poke at him with a pencil. And I'm like, baby girl, don't poke that hamster. But she was trying to get him to move, okay? Well, when you're in business, ain't nobody standing behind you trying to get you to move. Nobody's poking you with the pencil. You are not a hamster on a wheel, and ain't nobody poking with you with a pencil. And so to be, honestly, an entrepreneur, you rev yourself up. You energize yourself. You discipline yourself to say that this is what needs to be done, and this is the next thing I got to do. And if you're a true entrepreneur, if you even got everything to where you were on easy street and laid back, you'd still be doing the next thing anyway. Awesome. Hey, thank you, Joyce. Thank you, Joyce. I appreciate that. That's book number 2. Which book number 1 is hopefully being submitted to 2 publishing houses this month. So say a little prayer for me. All right, guys, I will put in here, and I'm sure somebody already did for me, where you can find our inner circle if you're interested in joining our business group. It's once a month. It's $47. You'll spend more on that at Applebee's this weekend. Let's be honest. You're going to spend more on that on something you don't need to this weekend. So bless you guys. I've got coaching calls. We will talk soon. Thank you guys so much for sharing as well. Oh, Joyce, I love that. All right. Bless you, Sandra. Okay, bye-bye.